Hey, what's up guys? Evan Aldo here. Welcome back. If you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I want to talk about more of the macro on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the altcoins first. Then I'm going to get more into the short term on Bitcoin, Ethereum. Excuse me. What I think is going to happen, some good DCA opportunities right here. So let's get right into it. So yeah, the first thing I want to show you guys is what we're looking at in the 2 week right now. So we had this pattern that we're looking at. Look at the pattern. Some good curvature, money flow coming out, VWAP coming down while money flow is coming out, which is a pretty, even the curvature with the VWAP coming a lot above the zero line and curving back down. It's been above the zero line for a while. This is a pretty rare bearish sign. We saw something, kind of similar right before March 2020. Before that, Black Swan event right there, that was coming down. Got the trigger wave, gave you the blood diamond, and a pretty similar pattern here as well. Money flow coming out and the VWAP coming down. Now, these both were after you already bottomed out. These both were kind of still in the accumulation phases after you already kind of bottomed out. Now, one of two things I think is going to happen here. I think inevitably we probably will. I mean, maybe you could somehow, unless we pump up above like 25K, unless we pump up to 28K, 30K, which I don't think is too likely right now. Maybe it could happen. Unless we do that, I think this is going to end up being a blood diamond. I think you're going to see that blood diamond by probably early April. Most likely, if you look at this, March 27th, somewhere around there in the next few weeks. And I think that's going to kind of be the first one here that brings us below the low and brings us to a lower low into, probably middle to late this year for a potential bottom. I don't think you're going to get, there's a get below. This is my estimate of where the 500 weekly moving average is. And I think this is going to be a huge, let me turn it on, a huge point. That's my estimate of where it will end up. A huge point for a potential bottom, mid to late this year. It's 12.6K if we hit it in October approximately. That's kind of the estimate there. I think it's going to be the first time that we go lower here with this blood diamond. And the reason I think that, guys, is because one, we're entering a recession, and two, the similarities of the NASDAQ. And this was also a recession too as well. This was a recession in '01. It was a pretty bad recession in '01 as well. And if you look at kind of the monthly here, it was the first time that the green dot rolled over, you got a red dot, and then you came down for another 8 months from that high. Now, if it plays out like that, it would bring us 8 months down. I think that's into, about November for 12K. So a 50% gradual correction down to there. Could happen faster. We'll see what happens. I think it generally will. We will bottom out by the end of the year. That's what I think will most likely happen. Maybe you could drag on until early next year, but I think it's going to be sometime this year, obviously. And the main thing we want to also compare this to is, the 3 week too. So we're looking at, this was always the bottom, this steep anchor wave on the 3 week here. But the thing is, the 2 week, the pattern we're looking at, this for the first time, see this deep anchor wave, that was always the bottom. This one we came lower. So unless you count like FTX as just some random, just some black swan event that brings lower, that's the main argument that we've already bottomed out. But I think with the recession, I think with the Fed still being hawkish, that you will kind of come down lower here. So what would the strategy be? Let's talk about kind of the DCA strategy to get into here. So let's say the strategy for people who are more bullish, people who think we've bottomed out. You would want to, as soon as this confirms, I'd say in 6 days, you want to DCA in on this time frame for about 6 to 8 months here. Similar to this area, you won't be catching the exact bottom, but you'll be getting a really good place here. A really good, kind of opportunity there. So with the blood diamond too, if you waited, till that confirmed and then DCA'd in for 6 months, perfect there. Also, I think if you were to just DCA in once this confirms in the red or once the blood diamond confirms for 6 months, that's going to set you up really well, I think. In terms of waiting, in terms of if you're a little bit more bearish, if you think the market's going to go down farther like me, let's look at a secret time frame right here that not a lot of people look at. Let's look at this 16 day. So the first time this went into the red was back here in 2020 after the pandemic, and this was, this was from March until October, so about 6-7 months of a really good DCA opportunity. So same thing kind of here. This I feel like is going to take longer. This is going to take longer to get into the red here. So let's just take a look at this. So in terms of let's just draw this out. That'd probably be the best, and in my opinion, the best way to kind of estimate. So let's say this comes into red with the red dot. I mean, you could theoretically, that's close to zero. You get a trigger wave here, yeah, in May or something, and that could lead to more downside into towards the end of the year for a bottom. So maybe once that gets into the red, there for a 6-month DCA period, maybe May, June to the end of the year, that's going to be a really good place. And my gut feeling on this is that with the recession, with everything else, that's going to be the sweet spot, that it may be on this time frame, the sweet spot, repeating something of that nature, maybe a deeper trajectory in the red. And also, if you look at the, I'm curious about let's look at the 16-day on the NASDAQ here. And yeah, like right at this point, see right here, you were getting to that could be a good trajectory. You were getting to the bottom, and then let's see, that was June of 02, and then March of 03. So 8 months, 6 to 8 months, that's a sweet spot right there, guys. That would be the sweet spot to get in. And I think that's ultimately what's I just got rid of the big time frame. Oh, well, we looked at what I wanted to look at on it, but that's going to be the sweet spot, I think. Once the 16-day on Bitcoin gets into the red there, that's going to be the sweet spot. 3-week as well, I think it's going to be the first time it gets into the red. Monthly, waiting for that to get into the red, it's close. Let's just get out on the Coinbase. It's really close. You could wait for that. You might be because that could take some time. That could be September. You might be a little late to the show by then, but I still don't think it would be too late. I think you got some time. I think this isn't a rollover. Last thing I want to say, I think this isn't a rollover. Get a red dot and then come down farther, get a green dot towards the end of the year, and this is going to be a deep anchor wave with the green dot below. That's going to be the true bottom here. I think that's going to be a good place to get in as well. So we got time is what I'm going to say, and I think those are going to be the big DCA strategies right here. For the altcoins, just on the macro, I want to show you ETH, and I think this is going to be more of a delayed version of kind of what we were looking at in Bitcoin, because look at the 2-week. It's just like more of a slow-mo, you know what I mean? We're like behind what Bitcoin is. We're about a month or two behind here. So I think Ethereum, the sweet spot to get in is going to be a couple months after the sweet spot to get into Bitcoin. I think it's going to continue to bleed against Bitcoin. And if you look at the main trajectory, I think this is going to be the trajectory for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. I already drew it out here, but let me show you again. This is kind of the end of our rally. This is similar to this rally we had here. It's kind of similar to this. It's just less here because of the recession and other reasons. And that would be a good trajectory down to around 500-600. I think kind of worst case scenario, you could get down to 300. I kind of don't think you're going to get that low, but I think there's a decent shot of coming down. It's also the technical target. If you break out of this wedge here, would bring you down to that area. That's what I think is big on Ethereum. So that's really good for the macro. Probably waiting for that 2-week would be the big move, and then DCAing in November 19 to July 20, so about like 8 months or something of that nature, 6, 8 months, 10 months, that kind of nature would bring you really well, would set you in a very, very good position for the next bull run. Also, what we want to look at, lastly, this is like another thing, I just want to go through this quickly, gold versus, NASDAQ, because people are asking, aside from holding the US dollar that's, been just printed, inflated so much, now they're being hawkish, but instead of holding that, what else could you hold on to? Let's say gold versus NASDAQ. I would compare this to gold versus Bitcoin. Look at where we are. You had a lot of that move, I think, a lot of like the move already that you saw here. Gold this would be comparative to gold, Bitcoin right now. You saw a lot of that move right now. This was already 268%. That was a 268% jump. But I think this total jump here, 570, I think you could kind of repeat something of that nature. That's why I kind of drew it out here. I think 570, once this gets to 570, convert the gold to Bitcoin. Well, here, maybe not. I mean, it could be, I think it's going to be different because we have Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's more of a hedge against inflation. I think gold is kind of going to become more like less lucrative over time. So I don't think it's going to be this much a repeat of that. But I do think based on this weekly, that like next green dot, once you see that could bring us up to November of this year, towards the end of the year, maybe hold on to gold. I think it will outperform Bitcoin probably until then. I think it's going to also outperform the S&P 500 until then. Against the dollar, I think it will outperform the dollar, but that's a little bit harder to say right now. I think it will though. And moving on to let's move on to what I think is going to happen more in the short term here. So if we look at the weekly, this is a red dot. This confirms in 6 days. split RSIs. This does not look good by any means. The 6-day is, and this is the first time a lot of this stuff has happened, split RSIs, red dot. This would be kind of the same indication that I'm getting from like the weekly death cross, 50 week colliding with the 200. I think that's the death cross that everyone's been talking about. That's kind of the same thing. And I think that's what could bring us to lower lows, which makes this cycle different. I think you're going to see 1 to 2 more, maybe even 3 more yellow X's here on the way down to kind of, these lower areas here. I mean, I got to draw more spider lines here, but when I draw more, you'll see more at these areas. Like I mentioned, 12, 13K, 500 weekly moving average, that's going to be a huge area. There's a very high volume area around 9K. I think that's kind of the worst case scenario right now. I'd be very surprised if we go under 9K. That's where you start toying around with dead asset category. I don't think I would be accumulating under 9K or even under 10K for that matter, especially if we go down there and you're not coming right back up in a few weeks. That's dead asset category. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's good to talk about every possible scenario. And then you look here, I mean, you got the big, bearish div here. A lot of rare bearish signs. Very split RSIs, bearish div on the 4-day. I think the general trajectory, especially the weekend, is down, especially the weekly, is down more. Now, in the short term with the 16-hour, green dot here, it's not a bullish div, but I do think there's a little bit more potential into tomorrow to potentially come up a little bit more here. I'm kind of not feeling 23K, but I'm feeling this technical target maybe just a little bit higher, 22.8, 22.9 even. There's a big pocket right there. There's a big pocket right there to potentially come up right here, although right now it's looking a little bearish. It is a Sunday night, so it's going to be a tough thing to say right here. You're trying to come up to green, now you're rolling over. I wouldn't discount the bearish case just yet. It seems like we're just repeating the same thing. You come down, and now you're going to get another potential trigger wave on the 30-minute. I'm kind of guessing. My main guess here, it's a little tough to say. My main guess here is you could kind of, break upward and mess around with 22.8. I don't think you're going to go to 22.3. We'll see, though. And then reject from there and continue downward. That's my main guess right now for Bitcoin. Let's look at ETH on more of the short term. It's kind of the same. The weekly, that's going to confirm in 6 days here, bring us down. This is the general trajectory I think we'll hit into August or plus minus a few months here. And then if we look at kind of money flow curving down the daily, you got double blood diamonds here. You got double blood diamonds daily here. I mean, that's a bad situation. I think ultimately you're going to at least test 1400 relatively soon, probably I think you'll test 1400 by the end of the month, depending on how things look. And then at that point, that's probably where you'll see the blood diamond on the Bitcoin 2-week up here. And then, there'll be a big discussion, like is at the bottom there, what's going on there? What I mean? It'll be a big area. And then right here, I mean, it's a Sunday. I wouldn't discount it, quite yet, but I am looking at, more of a potential upside a little bit. I think we can test 1600. It would be a little bit risky, but I think you're going to get, you could potentially get a bullish div on the hourly here. That brings us up a little bit higher into Monday. I'm sure a lot of shorts are probably opening right now with what's happening on these time frames, so I do think there could be a little bit of an upside. Also, I just wanted to show you guys the macro on some of these altcoins, potential things I'm looking at, potential trajectories for Cardano. And by the way, guys, I do have some trades open in the exclusive Discord if you guys are interested. Link in description below. A lot of day trades, swing trades, really good in there. Exclusive TA as well, even if you're not a trader, a lot of good macro perspectives, things of that nature. I think it's a really good community. I think it's really priced really well for what you get out of it. A lot of people have really liked it. I'm not right 100% of the time in the trades. Nobody is. But, I think we do really well in there. So check it out. Link in the description below. Also, if you want to sign up to an exchange, all three are really good down below. MEXC has the best. They just lower the fees even more. 0 fees for limit orders. And even the taker fees are pretty low too. So check that out. With my link down below, there's a really good promo that I negotiated with you. It says, even if you click on the landing page, it's just with my link. And if you sign up and deposit at least $100 into any of those exchanges with my link and shoot me a DM on Discord with your UID or your email you used to sign up, I will give you 1 month free in the exclusive Discord. So that's a promo I'm doing right now. I'm going to do that promo for probably a few more weeks and then end that. So yeah, guys, check that out. So a little trigger wave here in Cardano. I think the trajectory down for a lot of these altcoins, I think they're going to bleed hard against ETH. I think MEXC kind of had the end of its run. Very split RSIs, red dot here in the weekly. Phantom as well. If you look at the weekly, I mean, this is these RSIs are gapped like crazy here. I think this is going to be a nice trajectory down to kind of these areas. Chainlink as well. You got a technical target if you break out of here. I mean, this has been consolidating sideways for so long. You're either going to break up or break down. I think down, could be wrong, but I think down right here, especially with the weekly. So those are the ones I'm looking at. A lot of the altcoins look the same right now. The last thing I want to show you is Bitcoin dominance right here. And I think, I've been talking about it a lot. This is the same thing I've been telling you guys. I think this trajectory is generally going to be upward. I think this is going to hit probably at least 50%. Maybe there's some reality where this only hits 48%, but I'd be surprised. I think it's going to hit at least 50%. And I think when it does, which could be, in August, that's where you want to start to think about getting into alts. Right now, for a long term, I don't see any reason to be getting into alts. Now, financial advice could be completely wrong. Anything could happen, but I just think the odds are so low in this kind of environment. I think you could get up to somewhere between 50 to 60%. I don't think you're going to get up to these areas, but you could get up, to the high 50s here, 60 up to that area. I think 55 is that could be a really good sweet spot in the kind of beginning of next year, because even if, let's say we bottom out in September, August or something, Bitcoin could still outperform those alts for a good 6 months after 8 months. I think it was 8 months last time after the bottom in 2018. So, you got time to get into alts, I think you got a lot of time to get into alts. So I think the market's really going to reward the people that have cash, and things on the side that they could use to put into alts in, 6 to 12 months. And it's going to really hurt the people that are FOMOing in, at 25, FOMOing in the past month or two into alts. I think that's what's going to happen. Again, not financial advice, could be wrong. Anyway, guys, that's all I got right now. Please leave a like, please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Check out the links below for the exchanges in my exclusive Discord if you're interested. Also, I do have a trading course, really good for beginners. A lot of people have really liked it. Link in the description below with the discount code down below as well. All right, guys, have a good night. Goodbye.